Welcome, builders of the internet. My name is Jessa and I work in construction. As I was contemplating what to do for a video on 7th of the 11th in British date form, I thought, isn't 7-Eleven a shop? Maybe I should do something about how shops are designed to make you buy more. However, I would consider this channel to be more focused on construction and the psychological impacts of that, so it seemed to be too much of a tangent to be talking about background music, the specific costs of items and the sales signs that shops have, which is what a lot of the research shows. So I'm here today to talk about shopping centres or shopping malls and how they're built to make you buy more. I realise that in our current climate of predominantly staying at home and really heavily relying on online purchases for stuff, the popularity of these places has probably gone down a little bit this year. However, I do really believe there is something to be said about what lies in the future of them. If you'd like to see my sources, you can find a link in the description below.
It's building on my mind.
Shopping centre location. Before you've even entered the shopping area, you may find yourself in a vast parking lot with an incredibly confusing layout. As you stumble about trying to figure out where to pay for parking before inevitably losing your vehicle, you may find yourself wanting to spend as little time there as possible. This is intentionally designed this way, so that people will spend more time in the shops, thus more opportunity to spend money. Have you also considered how the centre fits in relation to nearby train stations or public transport stops? Many shopping centres find themselves with floods of commuters who'd prefer the safety and comfort of an indoor walk compared to battling whatever delights Mother Nature has to throw at us. This gives the opportunity for them to see stuff that they may not otherwise have considered purchasing. How has the layout of shopping centres been optimised? The design of shopping centres has been refined and perfected over the decades as an attempt to be its own self-enclosed world that can be recognised internationally. You've probably heard of the phrase time equals money. Well, this rings incredibly true for shopping centres because the more time people spend in them, the more likely they are to make purchases. After you've escaped the maze that is the car parking area, you may find yourself in what is called the decompression zone, which is the entry point between the inside and the outside. The shops in this area, if there are any, I would describe as more tame compared to the glamour and the pizzazz that you get in many shopping centres. So there would be things like beauty salons, post offices and banks, businesses that are providing you services rather than trying to get you to impulse buy stuff. Essentially, the decompression zone acts as a buffer for about 3 to 5 metres, which gives the shoppers an opportunity to get used to the lighting, get used to the temperature and the scenery, so that they have a chance to enter into shopping mode. In larger shopping centres, there are things called anchor stores, which are basically just very big tenant units that act as the main attraction. In England, this may be department stores or supermarkets, like Waitrose or M&S or Asda. These are usually placed at opposite ends of the building, which helps control the flow of the movement. So people usually want to go to these big stores, so if you want to make your way from one to the other, you have to pass by a lot of shops on the way, thus increasing your chances of stopping by somewhere else and purchasing more. Lots of malls have multiple stories, and the easiest way to get from floor to floor is via escalators. These control people's movements and motion too, as you don't really have much choice but to go on the route that they take you on. They're situated at the ends of the shopping centre, similar to the anchor stores, and you often find that you only have one option with each of these sets of escalators, so you can only go up one and then you have to walk further to find the one where it will take you down, which is actually where you want to go. To add on even further to this, the up escalators are situated further from entrances generally because it's a lot more effort to go upstairs than down. So out of convenience, people will walk towards these up escalators and pass by more shops on the way. You also tend to find that there's large slabs in the floor, so you can see the stores down, but in order to discover what's going up, you have to make that extra effort and see these extra shops. Walking through the shopping centre, you may notice how shiny all the surfaces are. Oftentimes, the wall and the floor finishes will be reflective, and the purpose of this is to make the space feel more populated. Even on quieter days, Your peripheral vision will pick up these reflections, and you'll subconsciously think that there are loads of crowds, which adds to the urgency and the impulsivity of your purchases, because you want to get to these deals before others do. It's essential for shopping centres to control how fast, or more accurately, how slowly people are walking. This speed must definitely not come to a halt, because I quote, "People staying still are not people circulating money." You may find that there's no loitering signage, which is very carefully chosen wording, because it insinuates that anybody who is stationary may have a sinister or even slightly threatening intent. I'm sure there are many other design facets that I haven't included, but the last one I'm going to talk about today is how shopping centres can affect your sense of time. So you will very rarely find windows or clocks in these places to help you lose track of time all the easier, and apparently your sense of smell can impact your perception of time. For example, there was a study in Paris that showed that in an unscented department store, shoppers thought that they were spending more time than what they really were, whereas in a scented department store, they thought that they were spending less time than reality. For example, they thought that they were spending 25 minutes in the shop when they were actually there for over an hour. If you want more information on aroma marketing, you can find a link with my sources. So, what's in store for the future? There is no doubt that online shopping is rising in popularity. However, this doesn't necessarily mean it's the end for physical stores. In fact, online and physical shops can be complementary, with online sales nearly doubling in areas that have a physical store nearby. Some businesses are utilising a click and collect service, which really helps with people who aren't going to be physically there for the delivery, and it also lures customers in so that you can see what else they have to offer. It also helps when people have a separate line for the collection stuff, so you don't have to wait in those painfully long queues, as us Brits love to do. As well as this, people like myself aren't always 100% sure if we should be buying something until we've seen it in person, and so we can feel it and determine if it suits our needs. So at the moment, only in-person shopping kind of facilitates that, unless you want the faff of sort of buying it and then returning it, which is a whole load of effort. There does still seem to be a desire for a third place. People mainly operate at home, their first place, or work and school, their second place, though the reduction in work is probably a topic for another video. Humans are generally social creatures who tend to prefer spending time with others, so perhaps shopping centres will be adapted in such a way to help facilitate entertainment-based experiences. One extreme example is a proposed supermall in Miami, which will comprise an amusement park, a water park and ski slopes, which you definitely cannot get from online experiences. More realistically, I think we could probably expect to see events being held, such as concerts or maybe entertainers for children. There is also a lot of desire for aesthetically pleasing locations so that people can share this on their social media. So creating spaces for that, as well as safe environments that people can come together in, will probably still be desirable in the future. A brand box idea was launched in Washington DC, which split vacant units into mini stores. Brands could hire these spaces for a limited amount of time, like a pop-up store. Marketing, technology and security was provided, so it made it ideal for startup companies and independent brands that wanted to establish their name or test new ideas. Having it there for a limited amount of time also meant that the space was constantly changing, which incentivized the public to visit on a more regular basis. What also seems to be a feasible direction is to incorporate services that cater to people's needs rather than their wants, which is what online shopping does for us. So having things such as banks or healthcare, dry cleaning, childcare, gyms in close proximity to each other is much more convenient and efficient than having to travel to multiple locations. One developer in Ohio, Columbus, is actually planning on essentially turning a shopping centre into its own town where people can live, work and do anything that they want or need. It's so exciting seeing all the possibilities that lie ahead for shopping centres, and I really hope that it can be done in a way that's less harmful to the environment. Either way, that's all I have to say about buildings for now. I hope it helps build on your mind.
Thanks for watching this channel, it's building on my mind. Check out my other videos, but first hit the bell and comment, like, subscribe.